Um, Now coming back up on stage is the alter ego of our hip hop artist Transit. His real name is Dan Bennett, and as you may have caught in the lyrics in his song, that he is a transplant to Calgary. He came here from Victoria, and is doing some amazing things. He's seen and is, I think, groundbreaking in the Calgary hip hop scene. He is going to go far. If you read his bio, Gene Simmons, that guy from Kiss with the big tongue, actually got in touch and wanted to work with him on a record label. And Dan said no, because he has a vision for his music and where he wants to take it. So now you're going to hear about that. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dan Bennett.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. So I'm really sick right now, so if I am coughing up blood or drinking a lot of water, you know why. It's been a really awesome day for me. I'm a college student, so I don't usually wake up for anything, but I woke up really early and I came here, and I've been here since the start, and it's been truly amazing to see all the really inspirational people from Calgary. One thing that I've really been passionate about is people in Calgary who are really focused on transforming Calgary inside of Calgary. Hear about all these people who will go away to Europe and they'll develop something, or they'll go away to the States and then they'll come back and be, local heroes. But it's really cool to see people who are doing that within our own community. So anyways, I'm going to do a little bit of a talk now. It's not going to rhyme, so everyone can put that joke aside. My if question, if I could just get this going. My if question is, the thing that drove me is, what if instead of stereotypes, when people think of Calgary, they think of a multitude of diverse people, all contributing in their own way to a growing, exciting culture? Okay, this photo will make sense in a second. But first of all, let me just go back. Just keep you guys on your toes. All right, I'm going to say a word here. And you have to think of the first couple images that come to your head. Rap music. All right, let that process. Now, Calgary. Now, chances are you probably didn't have too many that kind of directly correlated with each other, am I right? Okay, well, my name is Daniel Bennett, and I am both a Calgarian and a rapper. I was born in Red Deer, Alberta in 1989 and moved to Victoria, BC when I was a few months old. My grandparents were proud Calgarians since 1920, and my mom grew up in Calgary. My father is a Nazarene pastor, and my mother is an elementary school teacher, and I have 3 sisters. My oldest sisters are excellent violinists and have been playing since they were 3 years old, and my twin sister is a great singer. So naturally, there was a lot of pressure for me to be musical, even though I hated music, I hated piano lessons, and I vowed I would never be involved in music. I was just going to do sports, and now it's my career, so it's pretty funny. Anyways, back to the ladies' man picture. When I was 12 years old, I was struggling a lot with anger issues. Now, I found the one picture where I'm not angry when I was 12, and I just wanted to show that. I just thought that was pretty funny to show how much of a stud I was. If you're going to speak for a bunch of people and it's your first impression, you have to kind of, Anyways, when I was 12 years old, I was struggling a lot with anger issues. I was constantly getting suspended from school, and my parents were looking for anything that would work for me. This is when I met a counselor who suggested that I try writing down my feelings when I was angry. I thought this was really, really wussy. So what I decided to do instead was write my raps whenever I was angry. This is when I fell in love with hip-hop. See, to me, it didn't matter that I was a white pastor's kid from Victoria. Hip-hop felt right to me. My close friends and family have always said that I was the type of person who never wanted to do anything that anyone had ever done, and I always liked going against the grain. Fast forward 6 years to 2007. With more than enough encouragement for my parents to go to a school called Ambrose in Calgary where my uncle was president, I packed my life up and said goodbye to the friends I grew up with. My dad and my twin sister and myself piled into our minivan and made the 14-hour trek from Victoria to my new home, Calgary. I'll be honest, before I moved to Calgary, I had a pretty inaccurate perception of what this city of over 1 million people could offer me. My friends who wanted me to stay in Victoria were baffled at the fact that I was both chasing my dream as being a rapper and moving to the city of Calgary. See, Calgary is known as being kind of a country music dominated city. So my friends would say things like, why not move to Toronto and why not Vancouver? That's one of the questions that Dave Kelly asked earlier is why not? Why Calgary? Why not these other cities? And so, I have a picture up here, and there's a couple artists up there. On the left, you have Juno winning Shad. He's a hip-hop artist. I recently did a tour with him, or a mini tour with him. On the right, Sweatshop Union. See, my PowerPoint skills aren't very good, but got cut off. And then we have Calgary boy Paul Brandt, who is he's a great guy. He's a great musician. I just want to get it out there that I'm not knocking country music at all. I'm not trying to offend you or pick a fight, because you'll probably win if you're a cowboy. But anyways, this is kind of the basic kind of stereotypes that I'm addressing. Anyways, my first couple years in Calgary, I didn't really do too much in the music scene. I'd only do a couple concerts every year because I was busy with school and didn't really know how I would, break into the public eye. Tying in with the often reoccurring theme of my unconventionalism, I broke into the music scene in a peculiar fashion. While hip-hop promoters weren't giving me an opportunity, there were a few rock bands in town who believed in my talent and would allow me to rap at their concerts. People were thrown off at first. A lot of them had never heard poetic hip-hop before and appreciated that I wasn't rapping about money, girls, and cars. Now, it wasn't just because I didn't have any of those. It was because I believed my music could be more than that. Through this, I created a movement of people who usually hate rap but like transit. I was an ambassador of hip-hop. I was showing people that this type of music that I loved so much was so much more than the stereotypes affiliated with it. I felt driven to expose a beautiful side of this genre that is unfortunately overshadowed by the easily accessible connotations. I wanted to do the same thing for Calgary. The longer I lived in Calgary, the more I fell in love with the city. The whole Calgary Stampede way of life was interesting to me at first, but I also wanted to find out what more there was to offer me. Once I found out about all the incredible things going on in Calgary, I was both ecstatic and frustrated. My frustration with Calgary was similar to my frustration with hip-hop. Why are all these amazing aspects of something going unnoticed? Why do people not think of cultural diversity when they think of Calgary? All it takes is one packed C-train ride to realize how awesomely different we all are. One of the worst things you can do to an artist is put them in a box. God, change the slide. As artists, we are constantly looking to push the envelope by challenging ourselves and challenging those who see our work. This is why it was difficult for me to accept just the Calgary stereotype and take it for what it was. Thus, I created my song, Calgary. We are not all cowboys. I want to showcase Calgary as a whole with a more specific focus on the music scene, and make it known that there's more to Calgary than chuck wagon races and Paul Brandt. This is the cover of the Calgary single, and it was shot at Ranchman's Country Bar. It was meant to symbolize the destroying of stereotypes. Looking back now, it's a bit edgy, but I felt I had to get people's attention somehow. An idea I had was to incorporate as many local musicians as I could. The way I decided to do this was by using the titles of local bands to tell the story in the verses. For instance, one of the lyrics is, I went to Dixon's to watch some of the Knicks game, but my hands were dead and kind of in pain. It's from our climate being so ruthless that we rise up like elevators because of our music. Now, in that lyric, there's 3 local bands mentioned. There's the Knicks Dixons, so I went to Dixon's to watch the Knicks game. There's the Dead Hands, my hands were dead. And then there's elevator music. We keep rising up like elevators because of our music. So there's 3 bands there. So I wanted to kind of not have this be so much about just me as an artist, but have it be about the whole scene in general. In the whole song, there are 30 artists mentioned. Only 18 were able to make it into the video, which is kind of good. It would have been like a 40-minute video. But anyways, it was super hard to organize it all, but I mean, it paid off. Organizing 18 different band schedules when most of them can't even get to work on time was a pretty crazy accomplishment. Excuse me, I need more water. I'm just so parched. Also, I'm sponsored. I'd like to thank Aquafina for hosting this event. You know what Adam failed to mention is that I'm secretly selling out to Gene Simmons. I just like to market that I'm not. So Gene's in the back, and we got a bunch of promotional flyers to hand out after. Speaking of promotion, you should all gotten a free CD, and if you didn't, please take one, because... Yes, thank you. They're all clean. You're not going to have to worry about getting in trouble for playing it and teaching your kids some new colorful words. So, anyways, after I finished writing the verses, it seemed to be missing something. I felt strongly that the track should feature another Calgarian on it as well, but I couldn't really put my finger on who it should be. It was around the time that I was contacted to be a guest on Jann Arden's radio show on CBC One. Jann wanted to interview me because me and my friend Dave Wallace made a YouTube video called the 8-Hour Challenge, which was a video where me and Dave challenged ourselves to make a top 40 type video in only 8 hours. So basically, I was sick of radio music being so generic and formulaic, and every song sounded the same, and there was a lack of innovation, and there was the cars and the girls and the money and all the stuff I didn't have and I wanted to make fun of. So what we did is we made this song proving that we could do this kind of music and we could be on the radio a lot more if we wanted to, but we didn't want to because we wanted to, express our creativity. That felt right to us. So anyways, it was a total joke. It was just something I did when we were home for Christmas. However, the video ended up going viral and was the #1 viewed video on all of YouTube on January 21st, 2011. I was interviewed on Juno Nominee's radio show about it, and that's where Jann heard of me. The night before the interview, I remember talking with my girlfriend about how awesome it would be if Jann Arden was featured on the song. See, I knew it was a long shot, but I thought I might as well ask. That's kind of the whole theme of today, which is just so beautiful. It's a long shot, but you might as well do it. You might as well try. And a lot of rappers, I'm getting really off my notes right now, but a lot of rappers, they shove demos in people's faces and they say, let's make a track together, let's do this, it's a really kind of spamming genre. And I really try and differentiate from that. I don't really want to be annoying and pushy, but I kind of felt something in me, telling me to give it a shot. So I asked her after the interview, and she was into it. So she gave me her cell phone number, and we went from there. I'm like checking in my phone. I have like a text from Jann Arden, I'm just like a college kid, got a text from a 19-time Juno nominee, so it was pretty cool. Anyways, we worked out the details, and there I was in my basement, and Jann was super busy, so she said, you need to write my lyrics for me. So there I am. I don't even sing, I rap, so I have to write the melody and kind of come up with the structure of it, and she has a short stint, so I have to come up with what I felt would be the most effective use for her time and for her voice, for her talent, for her name, for all that stuff. So I remember sitting in my basement and trying to figure out what I wanted to say, what I wanted people to hear. So I came up with the following lyrics. Whoa, I guess I don't have that. Oh, there's the 8-hour challenge. You can see how popular I am in the bottom right. I'm just joking, guys. But anyways, lyrics are, everywhere I go, these people, they ask me, where is my home now? And I tell them it's Calgary. Some people don't get it, turn their noses up at me, but the scene is expanding in the city of Calgary. I felt like that encapsulated both my frustrations and hope at the same time. On one hand, you have the people who turn their nose up at Calgary, and on the other hand, you have the promise of the scene expanding. The song was about finished, and it was time to start working on the music video. I knew if I really wanted to make an impact, it had to be visual. We live in a YouTube generation, and I knew this was a great place for me to make my mark. I'm just going to show you guys just a really quick snippet of the video. We just have to switch over really quick because I'm not very PowerPoint savvy, and I didn't know how to embed it onto it. But luckily, we have great help in the back.
I went to Dixon to watch some of the Knicks game, but my hands were dead and kinda in pain. It's from our climate being so ruthless, still we rise up like elevators cause of our music. Despite the weather, you know it's magic here, like the black phoenix up in the atmosphere. Minus 20 to us, man, that's like a nice breeze when the dudes bring out their lawn chairs and the iced teas. The city Vice calls home, yeah, we're feisty. Purple rain in the sky cause we voted Nenshi. I'm the MC King looking for the MC Queen, we call her Frankie. She hangs out with Misha and the Spankies. Hurry the dinosaurs, you know it's time to soar like hot little rocketeers. Up in the sky we go, we're changing carry, all my homies play their part. So stay focused, stay, break a razor sharp. Cause we are not all cowboys. When I point the mic out, you make loud noise. And just scream, yeah, this is how we're changing the scene. Cause we are not all cowboys. When I point the mic out, you make loud noise. And just scream, yeah, this is how we're changing the scene. I'm from a city called Victoria on Vancouver Island, full of lots of hippies, and we shop at consignment. Too busy on the beach to freak and get.
So you see a lot of those people in there were some of the local bands who were being mentioned or whatever, as well as Mayor Nenshi. No big deal. We're tight, we're homies. But anyways, how are you going to make a song about the growth of Calgary and not include Mayor Nenshi? I contacted Nenshi via Twitter. Again, it was a long shot. I had this idea. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna write up a huge business proposal, and then hopefully I can get it to his assistant somehow, and I'll get it proofread by all these professionals. And then I forgot, because I'm a musician and a student, and I was too busy sleeping and playing Xbox. So I'm like, shoot, I just long-shotted, tweeted him. 2 days later, there we were, 8 a.m. in City Hall. I was wearing a hoodie and a baseball hat, and I was hanging out with the mayor. Calgary hip-hop was in City Hall, and it was awesome. Fast forward about 6 months of strenuous studio time and film sessions, and the video is complete. Since I'm completely independent, a friend of mine volunteered to act as a publicist for me and contacted a bunch of media. The first publication to pick up the story was 6:60 a.m. News, which really excited me. Being picked up by a full-out news station meant that the song was more than just a hip-hop track. It was a movement. The video reached around 5,000 hits the first day and continued to climb that week. More and more media began to pick up the story, and before I knew it was on every major publication in the city. But with exposure comes adversity, and there was plenty of both for this project. Here's a couple of I pulled a couple YouTube comments off of the page of the video. If you see up top is my favorite one. Says, here's the truth, you stupid twit. Calgary was founded by cowboys, not wiggers. Take that shit to the bank. By Stampeder Jamama 5 months ago. That's my favorite one. If anyone doesn't know what a wigger is, it's kind of like making fun at white boys who rap. But then underneath is Calgary hip-hop is an oxymoron, and this video actually proves it. Now here we get a little bit more positive. You could wipe those tears away, folks. It gets better. It says, please, some of the, unfortunately, the grammar on the positive comments makes it look like the people who support me aren't as smart as the people who make fun of me. For instance, Roloff69 says he's been Calgary his whole life. I think he meant a Calgarian, but anyways, I've been a Calgary or Calgarian all my life. I'm a bit of a cowboy, but this beat here is great to further diversify our great city. And then Live, Laugh, Joy says, absolutely brilliant. So nice to find a reference to Calgary that isn't solely based on the Stampede or the cowboy theme, which I think Calgary has become so much more than. You're to be commended on such a fabulous job. Great lyrics and video transit. Kudos to you. Jann Arden and all involved, love it. Did I mention I'm a huge fan of this? LOL. For those of you who don't know what that means laugh out loud. Laughing is a very strong emotion, so that adds points to her misspelling. Bracket, native Calgarian who thanks you for putting my thoughts into words. So, The crazy thing is that, like, I mean, I'd have people who would come up to me in my shows, and they would have my interviews quoted. And they would try and corner me. And they would try and make me say something that I didn't really want to say. Or one time, I got picked up by a news station. I'm not going to say who, because I don't know who's here. And they took me to the Stampede grounds, and they wanted me and a couple of the Stampede representatives to get in a fight. And what ended up happening is we went, we shook hands, we talked, we shared a lot of things in common, and they gave me a white hat. So the funny thing is that, you know, even the Calgary Stampede was into it. Doug Fraser gave me the white hat. He's the official representative of the Calgary Stampede, and he shook my hand. He said, "Thank you. Like, Calgary needs to grow. We need to diversify," and he was awesome about it. So there was a lot of positive support, and that was really good to see. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people who don't understand what you're doing when you're trying to push something different, but that's almost inspiration in itself. The song reached around 30,000 views, and the media attention kept coming. The National Post wrote an article about how many Canadian cities are changing, and even used my slogan, "Not All Cowboys," and talked about my song. Even Maclean's magazine wrote an article about the song. I was beginning to get approached by organizations such as the Calgary Economic Development to provide my insight on Calgary's future. CBC The National contacted me as a spokesman for the youth of Calgary in a story on the city. Mayor Nenshi even quoted my song in one of his speeches. I was no longer just a rapper. I was a public figure. That's actually a perfect segue for my next line. I wanted to test the waters a bit and see how powerful this movement really was, so I went to Twitter. For those of you who have Twitter, you know that trending is kind of like when something is being tweeted about the most, it's called trending. So when the most people are talking about something, it trends. Now there's trends locally, Canada, Vancouver, and then there's trends nationally, and then there's trends all over the world. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to see how powerful this movement really was. So during the Calgary Stampede, a lot of people tweet. A lot of people say, "Just ate mini donuts at Stampede," or "OMG, cutest Cowboys ever at Stampede," or something like that. So I was like, I want to see how powerful this is. So I said, "Hey guys, let's see if we can do this. Let's trend 'We are not all Cowboys.'" The way you make something trend is you put a little number sign in front of it, and then that way when people put that number sign in front of it, when they tweet it, it shows up. So anyways, it ended up trending in Calgary, which I was stoked on, and then it went and it trended over top of the Stampede. You can see the Stampede down there, and it went up, and that's for all of Canada. So there's this huge, this trending topic of the Stampede, and then about 1, 2, 3, 4, I should have counted before, about 5 slots before is "We are not all Cowboys." See, it was just crazy to me to know that this many people were identifying with this, and that this many people, you know, were relating with this, and that no one had said anything before, because I was scared to do it. You know, I was scared to step out and do it because of how it would be received. It was actually really encouraging. So about a month ago, I hope I didn't throw my other slide down. Cool. About a month ago, Calgary was named one of Canada's cultural capitals. So basically what that means is that over $2 million has been donated to the arts community, and it will be divvied up through things like grants and all that jazz, which is just great news for our city. I like to think that my song had at least a tiny contribution in this achievement, at least with the raising of awareness for the arts community. My album, which most of you should have received a copy of, was released last Friday. It just reached number 7 on the Canadian iTunes hip-hop charts, next to greats such as Jay-Z and Eminem. This is the first ever Calgary hip-hop album to chart on iTunes, and one of the most awesome things about it is that Calgary is the top-selling song on it. I'm going to conclude this by challenging you guys with your own what-if question. What if more Calgarians were not complacent with how this city is, but dared to go against the grain to discover what this city could be? Thank you.